Hi everyone, welcome to another SpunkGo webinar. Good morning, evening, or afternoon from wherever you're joining us. Today's speaker is Leila Naguib. She's an experienced communication specialist as the Gulf Corporate Affairs Manager for Mars. It is my greatest pleasure to welcome Leila to talk about what a career in corporate comms involves. Just a side note, Q&A will be done through the chat feature below, where she will answer your questions after our presentation. SpunkGo is an all-girls global student organization where proceeds go to charity. And with that, the floor is now yours, Leila.
Thank you very much, Netra, and thank you very much for having me in the invite. I'm very humbled and honored to be with you all. As Netra said, my name is Leila Naguib, and to just give you a little bit more about myself, I'm a mother, a daughter, a wife. I identify myself as Egyptian because that's where I'm from. And also an African and an Arab accordingly. I've been in Dubai for the past 7 years and with my family, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be with you all. So these are I know when we talk about career journeys and what our career has been like, we often neglect the ones who shape us the most. And I just want to recognize that while my daughter doesn't look very pleased to be taking a picture with me there, a lot of the times my conversations with them and my communications with them have shaped me and shaped my thinking as well. Netra mentioned I'm the Gulf Corporate Affairs Manager at Mars, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about Mars because I know we're known for our chocolate brands like Galaxy, Twix, M&M's, Maltesers, and a few, but also we produce and manufacture and sell gum products like Extra and Fruity Confectionery and other products like Skittles and some of the brands that you all love. We're also one of the biggest manufacturers on pet care products, food, and basically Mars is a family-owned company. It's a private company that is headquartered in the US. I am part of the Middle East Africa region. And to tell you a little bit more about my journey at Mars, I'm what they call a boomerang associate. So let me do this again so it works. I'm what they call a boomerang associate. So I've been with Mars for the past year in my current role, but I used to work with Mars between 2013 and 16. I love the company. I love the company culture. I was in touch with my line manager and with the team that I worked with at the time. So when my previous line manager decided to retire, she recommended me for the role, and that's how I rejoined the Mars family again. I studied political science at the American University in Cairo, and I double minored in business and psychology. So this is my kind of educational background. During the time, I was obsessed with Oprah Winfrey and with using media as a platform to give back to the community and to make an impact and a purpose to the world. However, I chose to do so through political science, where I'm getting to learn about countries, even in Africa, that I've never heard of before, and their political and economic systems, and what does that mean. And I got the chance to volunteer in different offices and organizations within the American University in Cairo that helped me test and learn and also expand my interests in different ways. So I also had a bunch of internships with the USAID Family Justice Project and with an NGO in Lebanon. So this has been mostly my passion. But around the time where I graduated, I realized that all of the things that I've done in those offices has been, establish marketing communication function or a marketing communication campaign, or raising awareness on about hepatitis C on campus, or doing a media internship within the family justice project and creating booklets on how people can reach us and leverage the services that the government is offering. So this is where I thought, right, let me try to experience the best of both worlds and get the learning from a corporate perspective and have more of a marketing communication introduction. And I joined Unilever for a year before I was offered a corporate communication role at Mars. And along the journey as well here in Dubai, I was with Boston Consulting Group taking several marketing roles. So Boston Consulting Group is a company that we call B2B. So they offer services, consulting services for other companies and not actual products to consumers. So a marketing role there is equivalent to the corporate communications at Mars. Before we go into what corporate communication is, I thought I'd start with communication itself. When I try to learn something new, or I'm asked to explore something and dig deeper into it, these are the questions that I usually ask myself before going into any plan or any recommendation that I offer. So what is this thing exactly? Why is it important? How do we go about it? Where do I find the information that I'm looking for? Or where do I need to create the platform for those conversations to happen? When do I need this to happen by, and who is this going to? So these are kind of some of the questions that generally I ask myself regardless of the topic. And so I thought before we start with corporate communication, we look into communication in itself, which is really a process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, emotions. So as children, we learn new things by stories, by having conversations with the people around us, by experiencing things, and this happens through our five senses. So whether it's a written article, whether it's something visual, whether it's something that you're hearing. So this is how you experience those exchange of information or ideas. So it's really an experience rather than a one thing that happens at a time and then we move forward, because it's a build-up of those ideas and exchanges that really define the way we think. So having said that, we're all really communicators. So maybe I'm presenting from the angle of someone who's communicating in a company like Mars. But as I mentioned, and I'm sure that's the same for you, we all communicate on social media. We all communicate as part of an NGO or as part of an organization, or you might be communicating for a new entrepreneurship or project that you're trying to define. We communicate with our family, with our friends. So the way we're also, the stories we're telling about ourselves and having others perceive of us is also an avenue of communication. If we speak about corporate communication specifically, these are the key areas of corporate communication. So there's internal communication, where you're communicating internally with your employees, or what we are at Mars call associates, to tell them about the brand and about the strategy, and to keep them informed and connected with each other and with the brand. External communication as well, through PR, through social media, through any external channels, events, presentations like these ones. And then there is crisis communication. So crisis communication it goes across both, but it has to do when there's a problem, like let's say something went viral, or there is COVID, and we have to mitigate the situation and stay connected with our associates to ensure they're safe, and that we are reaching out to them as at the same time making sure the business is operating. Same from external communication. So if we're facing issues, these impact our reputation, and hence impacts the value of the business and the continuity of the business. So having a role, and I'll speak more about that shortly, in defining your own story is very crucial as a brand. If I speak a little bit about internal communication, so what do we do within internal communication? And these are some examples from last year that I'm very proud and passionate about. So we try to inspire, inform, and engage associates around our business strategy and the purpose. So if we're talking, if I'm saying one thing, my colleague is saying something else, and then a third person, there won't be any alignment, there won't be any direction. So making sure that everybody is clear on what the business strategy is aligned on the same direction and purpose that we're going towards together is really key. And this really drives a sense of belonging, a sense of feeling like a family through the stories that we tell, the celebrations that we have, informing them about our purpose. So Mars as a company has the purpose that the world we want tomorrow starts with how we do business today. And we really believe in that. And that's driven by initiatives, let's say, around inclusion and diversity, or around sustainability, and how are we really embedding that in the way we do business and fostering different initiatives. So this picture is from our Mars volunteer program, for example, where we're offering opportunities for associates to come as a team, engage with each other, and also serve the community and make an impact to the community. In turn, as well, in addition to all of the things that I've said, how can we make the people more engaged internally and make an impact to the community? Those associates become brand ambassadors and advocates for our brand externally. So if they go out and speak about Mars with their friends, or speak about Mars on LinkedIn and social media, that they can speak with pride around the different initiatives or topics, or even the culture and the way they feel belonging to a team and being empowered by their line managers and developing, for example. From an external communication perspective, there are a bunch of examples that I have here. One could be that we are communicating in an event or a conference where key government officials or key industry players are there. It could be that we're communicating in terms of a press release, or a media article that we're contributing our thought leadership, or the learnings that we have done across those different areas that I've said are then simplified into how can we contribute as an industry to others? How can we contribute to the community by sharing those ideas and thoughts for other companies to be inspired and to lead the way there? Also social media posts, so whether through our leaders and associates, as I mentioned, or whether through the Mars page itself, talking about our stories, our associates, our planet. And one other example, so a company, corporate communication does not handle the brand itself. We do not handle the advertising and the nice ads that you see. However, we support brand PR and category PR by raising awareness around the purpose initiative. So this campaign that I'm sharing here is from our Galaxy team last year. And it was a song from Arab women to Arab women, empowering them to really choose their own pleasures and choose their own path. So how we supported was through media, through repurposing the content and recreating it into an internal video with our associate, through social media posts, through internal articles as well, to really drive awareness and drive more viewership behind the campaign. So some of the reasons why you do external communication is to build corporate presence and reputation. So make sure your brand is out there. A lot of the times you might be speaking to people and telling them, we do this and that. And they're like, really? I never realized that you sold this product, or I never realized that you do those initiatives. Others is, again, as I was just mentioning with the Galaxy campaign, celebrate brands, drive consumers' intent to purchase, which increases your company's revenue at the end. Protecting the freedom to operate. So some of those crises or issues that I mentioned, if you have the right credibility and reputation with your external stakeholders, whether government or otherwise, then you can solve some of those issues in a more timely manner. Drive positive societal impact strategies. So there was actually a study by one of the PR agencies called Edelman, where they saw that 86% of consumers now are looking for companies to have a role, or for CEOs to have a role in driving positive societal impact and making a difference to the community. So we need to address the consumer's needs, and this is partially you're communicating back to them. So one part is listening from your stakeholders in the community to improve your product and service. When you're listening that something is not working, or that there's a need that they see, you're improving your products and services, and other is addressing their questions and their challenges. And finally, to really own the company's narrative. The narrative is the story, is what is told about your brand. So to really own that. So you might have seen the press conference from Cristiano Ronaldo, where he removed one of the beverage companies, fizzy drinks, and he put the water bottle. And at the time, this impacted the valuation of the company. So external communication and influencers and what others say about you cannot be the only story that's out there that defines your narrative, but what are you saying as well? So we spoke a little bit about brands, and I just wanna I use this time maybe to break all the talking that I've been doing, and see if you can guess some of those brand names on the chat. And Netra, if you can help me see if everybody can have the right guess.
For sure. So if everybody could put their guesses, we've got one guess here that says Pizza Hut. So that is correct, I think. Yeah, one of them is Pizza Hut. Second one is Pizza Hut. Amazon is one of them. There's one, Microsoft. 2 people have said Microsoft. Samsung. So overall, everybody is kind of guessing these brands. YouTube.
Great. So I think you can guess most, if not all, of those brands. They're pretty straightforward. Samsung, Pizza Hut, YouTube, Amazon, Coke, Microsoft, Lego, IKEA, and Subway. So the reason why you can guess those is that brands, like people and like organizations, have a purpose. They have an identity. They have a visual look and feel. You can recognize that without really seeing the name and without really having the specifics behind it. So I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to run quickly by the rest of the section, and then just say that consistent audience-centric storytelling is very important. So as I mentioned, we impact different stakeholders along our ecosystem. So consider really what's in it for your audience, whether the people you are servicing internally or whether externally, the ones you are trying to target with your message. So if someone comes and tell you, I want you to start a communication campaign for, as I was just saying, maybe hepatitis C in your own area, raising awareness around it. Where would you really start? So this is a suggestion. You start basically, there's a life cycle of a thought or an idea or a campaign. You start by understanding the objective. Why is this important? Why do we want to do this? Understanding your audience. Who is this targeted for? Who is going to receive it? What's in it for them, as I was just saying. Looking at the topic, so what do we want to be known for? What those topics are? What are the details behind those topics? Looking at the format, is it a video? Is it a podcast? Is it an article? Is it an event and a presentation? So those formats go hand in hand with the channel. So if on YouTube, for example, you'd obviously have a video, or if it's an event, you're likely to have a presentation, if not maybe a digital engagement and AR and VR and a lot of the new fancy things. And you look at partnerships really to drive those topics further, whether with NGOs, with governments, with other corporations. And this in turn gets the activity or the end outcome that people see. So it's not just about the outcome, but there's the data and the work and the understanding that goes behind it. And finally, you look at the metrics. So how did this activity do? Did it succeed? Did it not? Did it get us make us reach the objective that we want and the return on investment that we want? So applying for a corporate communication role, what would you need to do that? So first of all, I want to highlight that the name of the function will differ depending on the company and on the industry. It might be corporate affairs, it might be corporate communication, internal communication, marketing. It would have different names. So really look at the job description and what's behind it. If you're still trying to build your skills and capabilities, look at your transferable skills and developing presentations are important. For example, communication, as we were saying, crucial conversations, digital marketing, written communication. So all of those things, sometimes we're presented with the opportunity to try to present something or go out of our comfort zone, and we might shy away. But all of those are build-ups that help us really to reach the skill and the capability that we need. Observe people and companies, so how others are communicating, what does it look like across the different channels, and be curious and ask questions and really connect with others about their journey. So I wanted to, after all the technical talk, to leave you a little bit with my journey and to tell you. So at some point, I seemed undecisive. Maybe I seem a little bit undecisive to a lot of people still. I am interested in political science, in community giving, in marketing and communication, in economic policies. So it might seem that I'm all over the place, or it might seem at times that I don't have. I question myself whether I really have the skill it takes for a new challenge. So I would say uh, pave the way for your own path, experiment and be courageous to try new things, because you won't really know until you try. And at some point, I thought I never want to do marketing communication. That's completely out of the question. I thought I'm not a creative person, and I'm more of an executor. And now that I've tried several things and I've had different experiences, I've come to learn that these are actually not true. These are things that are not true about myself. So I would say have the courage to pave the way for your own learning, at the same time, the humbleness to continue learning and growing. This is one of my favorite quotes, and this is what got me really into trying to do something with purpose. Is the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And I have to say, at times it felt that I lost my path and I lost my way, and that I'm going nowhere, and what's my purpose in life. But then, as I was saying, the buildup of all of those different experiences at some point makes sense. At some point, you need just to pull the plug, pause, and connect the dots together. And building the right network and the nurturing environment. So a lot of those things I wouldn't be able to do without the mentorship of and support of my team. So this is my lovely team who I recognize a lot as key enablers for my growth and development. But whether it's a family, whether it's a group of friends, so having the right environment to push you and support you, and also the right network. So as I was just saying, some of the conversations have been left off for years, and I come back and find new opportunities are opening based on those conversations. Finally, finding the inspiration is not just about work, and it's not just about the job that you're doing, but looking around you and really taking the opportunity to get inspired. So for me, it was when I had my daughter, we do a lot of reading and storytelling together. So this really reignited my passion in storytelling. And it made me feel that I want to create Arabic content for kids, or at least help propagate Arabic content for kids. So last year I started doing the voiceover. I still have self doubts whether I'm the best at it or not. It's still out of my comfort zone, but I have so much passion for it. And having this experience with my daughter inspired me to do so. Similarly, I never knew how to ride a bike, but because she started learning how to ride a bike and she was telling me, how come you don't know how to ride a bike? It really triggered my curiosity and really triggered me to change the narrative or change the story about myself. And last year was the first time that I learned how to ride a bike, and now I'm at 10K. So sometimes what people say about you, yes, they say don't let it define you, but also let it define new projects, new passions that you might have, whether within work or outside of work. And in a corporate setup, sometimes the company has every intent to communicate how great they are on a certain topic, but you might need to drive the initiative behind it, the project behind it, to have something to talk about. So that's it from my side. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. But meanwhile, please reach out to us on any of the Mars channels if you want to learn more about Mars, or after this session, please reach out to me anytime on LinkedIn if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Leila, for that fantastic presentation. It definitely sums up what goes behind the scenes when we were talking about communications and how a brand maintains its image. So we have a few questions here from our audience that they would like you to answer.
Sure.
All right, so the first question is, how do you handle disagreements internally?
How do you handle disagreements internally? Let me just stop sharing. I think there's a little bit of, I mean, the question is double loaded. So there's sometimes personal disagreements, and there are other times disagreements around work itself. So I think I have done a lot of mistakes along the way. I have at times have been kind of too strong-willed or hearted about a topic that I don't know when to realize that the other person as well has their own perspective and has their own experience. So we talk about having unconscious biases, and really we have those against ourselves and the people around us. So taking a step back and evaluating the situation is one. The second one is looking at the data behind the conversation and behind the disagreement. So staying focused on the topic, on the background behind it, on, let's say, if we're agreeing about a project, what led us there? What do we know from past experiences to really shape the consensus for us to come together as a conversation. So really the objective is not I'm right or you are right. It's to come together into one conclusion that is best for us as people, but also for the business and the team.
That's very important. Yes, coming to an agreement and compromising and seeing both sides of the argument. Mm-hmm. Is BCC a good communication practice in corporate culture?
I'm not sure I'm clear about what the question is, to be honest.
I think they mean BCC like in an email.
Okay. I never use BCC unless I tell someone I'm putting you on BCC, so I don't overwhelm you with 101 questions. But if I want to communicate something, and usually this is also part of the Mars culture, is to drive transparency and open conversation. Usually you should have the respect in your communication, so it shouldn't be an issue. And I always feel that sharing enough information to give visibility to everyone is helpful. My only kind of note, yes, definitely there is always politics, or there is always how do we tackle a certain situation, but I never use BCC.
Yeah, that was a very good question. And then I think Rebecca did clear it up. So it was an email. Yes. Mm-hmm. The next question is, how do you handle critiques in your work environment?
So there's a difference. It's very similar to the other question. There's a difference between critiques and between feedback. So I take it as feedback. Yes, sometimes feedback is harsh and it hurts, but it's also how we develop. So I know if I have not had honest and direct feedback that is based on actions and behaviors that I've done, I would have never had developed, and I would have never had been able to work collaboratively within the team, because I often focus on the task at hand. And sometimes when I was younger, I used to dismiss the people aspect, or not really have the right focus behind it. So this feedback really makes you realize the way you're acting and the way you're communicating and coming across. as well. So you take it and you listen to things. And as I was saying, some things are not right about you. So you just put it aside, say thank you, and move forward with the topics that you're passionate about.
I agree with that. I think take it with a grain of salt. If it is genuinely good feedback, you can implement it into your work and your life and everything like that.
Yeah.
The next question here is, what is the best form of marketing in your opinion and why?
I don't think there's a best form of marketing. So what I showed you is really kind of an integrated um, communication. I don't think one form of marketing is sufficient anymore. You need to have the same message across different channels at the same time. You need to come back in a few months later and repeat the conversation. You need to be consistent across the different channels. So in my opinion, it's really taking the content and repurposing it and milking it, as they say, to fit the right audience. So it's less around what's the right channel, but is this channel being read by the objective that by the target audience that I want to reach, and will it fulfill the objective that I'm trying to achieve for this campaign or this idea?
You talked a bit about this and you mentioned it briefly in your presentation, but there was that video of Cristiano Ronaldo and he put aside soda and took the water. So the question is, when a company receives negative press and media, how do they come back from this and find their purpose and reevaluate it?
So I think there are several ways. So first of all, you evaluate the situation, you evaluate the crisis, as they call it. So some part is based on this evaluation, you might decide to have a certain response that stays true to your principles and your purpose as a company as well. So as a company, it's also around providing choices to consumers, providing a wide range of portfolio that they can choose from. So how transparent parent are you being about that, and also, other than that, is there an action that you can take to maybe drive new innovations within your company, or the way that you are trying to communicate? So I think it's multiple aspects, but crisis, that's a process of crisis communication. And based on evaluating the situation, we have several internal stakeholder meetings, if that's the case, involving our supply chain team, involving the marketing team, involving the regulatory affairs and the legal teams, the HR, or what we call people and organization, to come really as a team, as a company, with something that matches our principles when addresses those situations. And acknowledge also the consumer is our boss at the end, so acknowledge what they are telling us.
Yeah, consumer feedback is something important. So if there is negative press, it is good to take that into account. How did you make your final decision between communications and political science?
I don't think I ever made the final decision. I think I feel like I'm scratching the surface with my career journey. I am where I'm at right now. I'm embracing it. I'm passionate about what I do and I love my job. But maybe one day this intersects back again to me doing public policy work, or helping my country somehow, or making an impact through advocacy work that we do as well within corporate affairs. So again, I would say, have the courage to test and learn. Make the decisions based on what you know right now, and follow the variables as well, because it has to do with the environment, with my family setup, with what's working for me as well, with what's satisfying my other passions and the time I want to spend on the other topics as well.
Going back to what you said, experimenting is probably the best way to come to that decision. Hmm.
Yeah.
What kind of content do you have on your YouTube? So I think this question is referring to the Mars YouTube channel.
Yes, so there are different content in terms of videos of advertisements, or it could be, as I was saying, the thought leadership. So thought leadership is when you share an idea or thought behind something that the company is proud of, or it could be an animation or something that showcases our commitment behind um, sustainability, for example, and what we have done on packaging sustainability. So it's multiple audio-visual content.
Yeah, that's a good variation to have in the channel. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I think I just lost the question. What does the future entail for you?
I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Again, I can tell you what I know now is I'm enjoying my job. I see prospects and potential for both my personal and career development. I am trying to balance as well with my mental health as a working mom and finding the time to develop as a mother and a parent and to experience things with my family. I'm also trying to do voiceover, as I mentioned, and continue to embrace as a lifelong learner. And I started the dance classes recently. But I think I'm currently, my passion project also is around the sustainability. And I see a lot of commitment, both from the country, but also from Mars around the topic. And I'm considering whether I can combine my passion in communication and on purpose and do something more focused on environmental sustainability. I'm still not clear what that is. Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what happened.
I think my line just disconnected. Yeah, I think, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. Okay, so this will be one of the last questions, and this is, how can you help me, someone who has very little money, start an online shopping project?
So I don't do online kind of e-commerce. So this is what would sit more with the e-commerce work than corporate communication. So as a starting point, I think maybe connecting to the right experts there. And in terms of the money aspect, there's always, if you develop your project and your project ideas, there are ways to seed funding and investments. And there are some social media platforms that are free, as well as online websites that you can create if you have the skill and expertise to create those websites.
So this will be the last question here, and it is, how can we reach you? So I think you put your LinkedIn, but putting it in the chat, I think, so we can directly, if you're comfortable with email, anything like that.
Sure. So I'm usually very responsive on LinkedIn. If you reach out to me there, I'll respond to your messages. And I just left it on the chat. Be
All
happy to
right.
connect next time.
Great. Thank you so much for your time today and this fantastic presentation. Do you have any words before I close off with the webinar for our audience?
No, I just want to say thank you very much. This has been very inspiring, just following this SpunkGo journey and getting to learn about what you do. And I wish you all the very best, whether within communication or within something else that you decide on. Stay, have the perseverance, the passion, the purpose behind it, and the right network, as I mentioned, to really support you. And best of luck.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much again for this fantastic presentation. I know myself, as someone who does the branding and communication for SpunkGo, I definitely love to take your advice into account and putting into the purpose and how we can communicate our brand image properly. If you have any more queries or concerns, please do visit our website, spunkgo.com. Thank you so much to our audience for being interactive, and we hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you so much and good day.